Did you know both women and men hate working under a female superior? In the world of female empowerment, feminism, being a girl's girl, I really thought girls would advocate for female leadership, but it looks like women might hate it even more. I found entire threads, articles, and thought pieces expressing this thought and stating reasons that are very common when the conversation of women in power comes up. They are too sensitive, inconsiderate, mean, stubborn, competitive, and helpful. Speaking of being helpful, please like, subscribe, and watch a good amount of the video. I'm trying to get my grandmother some dentures. I really thought this was just a byproduct of the I don't have female friends trope, but if I just dismissed it at that, it means I wouldn't be getting to the root. So I decided to look into what was being said. In my experience, male bosses have been more understanding and willing to help. Women bosses had a my way or the highway complex and will insult you as opposed to train you. Since I have a uterus, I'm expected to write that women are better than men, but I have never encountered a competent woman in management. Sorry. Men are much easier to work with. Females are just too damn sensitive. Male bosses listen to your ideas and let you execute with minimum interference. Lady boss, she shoots down your ideas, wants you to do hers, micromanages, and still finds a way to say something is wrong. Did I just hear the married men say louder? Sit down. Female co-workers suck. Men bosses are better. I am a male, but my wife says the same thing. On any given day, a male boss is better than a female boss. There's a saying that goes, there is no smoke without a fire, and this argument, well, it has a lot of smoke. Even when I speak with people around me, a lot of them have the same opinions. So instead of giving out the usual response of that's not true or you're just a hater or a misogynist, this video is more about exploring the question, why are women presenting themselves this way in leadership? I'm going to be putting together conclusions that have already been discussed and try to give a reason as to why this is happening. Women Network wrote that there is an imbalance when it comes to men achieving a higher level of success than women in the workplace. According to Harvard Business Review, it comes down to the difference in goals between men and women. Women tend to have more goals, but men have one: power. This can also be translated to women tend to micromanage while men tend to macromanage. It's something we see in a traditional home as well. Moms usually are involved with the details while men are more of an overall authority. I won't go into whether this is nature or nurture, but I can give a reason as to why women tend to micromanage in the workplace. Feminism. Women and their allies have been fighting for equal rights since ancient Rome. Then came the official start of the fight in 1848 with the first wave of feminism, then 1963 with the second wave, and also the third wave, each wave having small wins. But in terms of human history, women holding multiple leadership positions is still a new concept. Women in leadership today are rarely products of everyday life, but rather a product of the mentality instilled by the feminist movement, whether they are conscious of it or not. Growing up on philosophies like you are capable of anything, a woman can do anything a man can do. These are not the default socializations of your everyday woman. Women are not socialized to lead. Therefore, your average leading woman has the mentality of the movement. It's a mentality of needing to prove yourself to society, needing to prove that women are just as capable. On the other hand, men are socialized to be leaders and providers. They do not take up leadership to prove anything, but to take up a role that is made for them, that is naturally theirs. That is the mentality of a man when it comes to leadership. That's what he has been socialized to believe. And because of this, most men have come to terms with the fact that jobs are first for providence before enjoyment or purpose. So while men are in the mindset of just needing to do what has to be done, women are in the mindset of competition and the mindset to prove that the movement mattered and matters, which it does, and so it is only natural to chase perfection and at times be paranoid. A leader requires certain characteristics in order to fulfill their role. Things like confidence, being assertive, decisive, independent, courageous. The thing is, these characteristics are traditionally associated with masculinity. On the other hand, acknowledged feminine characteristics are things like being agreeable, soft-spoken, sensitive, emotional, tender, dependent, none of which are emphasized when it comes to leadership. But the thing is, most people who become leaders possess most of the characteristics associated with being a leader, be it a man or a woman. So what usually ends up happening is that men and women in power are actually portraying the same characteristics but are viewed differently by society. A man that is confident and defends his idea will be seen as assertive, while a woman who does the same will be seen as stubborn. A man that is logical will be seen as objective, while while a logical woman will be seen as difficult. An example of this is when Serena Williams broke her racket in the heat of a tennis game. Many people called her aggressive, forgetting that when her male counterparts did the same thing, they were called passionate. Same behaviors applied to same situations are interpreted differently based on if it's a man or a woman. As of 2020, women accounted for only approximately 28.3% of all managerial positions worldwide. To get to the top already requires some level of competition and a lot of hard work. But these levels of competitions get even worse when it looks like the positions you can fill up are very limited. This leads to what is called a scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset is characterized by a belief that one has limited resources and is unable to provide for themselves or others. This unhealthy mentality can lead to intense feelings of anxiety, which can cause significant problems in one's life. A simple example is, imagine you and your 20 friends are incredibly hungry, and you alone walk into the kitchen and find only one slice of pizza that can belong to anyone. What are you doing? Versus the same scenario, except you find 20 boxes of pizza in the kitchen. In the first scenario, you will probably keep the slice to yourself and try to hide it from others, while in the second scenario, you might call your friends in so that you can enjoy together. When it comes to leadership, some women are usually operating from the first scenario. The opportunities look limited and therefore they are protective of the position, while quite a number of men in leadership operate from the second mindset. Every day they see themselves represented in leadership and new positions are being created even as we speak. There is enough for everyone to go around. Individuality is a gift awarded only to those with vast representation. This is a concept I addressed in this video, so if you need a deeper dive, go ahead and watch it. But in summary, and to piggyback off of the previous point, because there is very little representation of women in leadership, there are a lot of generalizations made based on the actions of the few. It is also easier to spot a bad character among the few. An example I gave in this video is if Biden or Trump turned out to be bad presidents, there would just be another bad president. But if Obama was the same, he would be seen as a bad black president, a representation of an entire group. Okay, so personally, I've had really great experiences with female superiors and with authority in general. I think it's because I'm not a person who is competitive. I'm just not a person who is very comfortable with conflict or disagreement. Maybe it has to do with my personality. Maybe it has to do with where I've met these superiors. And I think that's a really great topic to cover in another video. But all in all, this was a really interesting topic for me to cover simply because I don't really have a lot of bad experiences with female superiors. But it seems a lot of people do. In conclusion, women in leadership is still a fairly new concept, and the more common it gets, the less it will be pointed out, or the less it will be seen as something that is threatening or evil or a phenomenon. I think we've seen this in everything that has been new at some point and is now old. When it comes to the plane or when it comes to things like the internet, people really demonize the internet thinking it was Armageddon. And another one that is funny is I was reading this book called The Organized Mind, and when we finally started putting words to paper and started transferring messages, it was literally treated like witchcraft. People were wondering, like, why is this paper whispering about my secrets to another village? Like, it was that bad. And even when books started to come along, people actually criticized them, talking about we shouldn't have too many books. Just like the way we're told we shouldn't watch too much TV or too many series, people were being told, like, don't read too much. It's not good for you. And look at where we are now. People are being encouraged to read. And so I think it's really important to acknowledge that biologically men and women are different, and so those differences may present differently when it comes to leadership. But all in all, when we look at the characteristics of a good leader, those characteristics can exist in both women and men, and I think overall that is the bright side. And I think this is also a very important part in the conversation, where we don't just defend the behavior or we completely deny that it's happening, but to actually come forward and try to understand why this behavior is happening so that we can know what to do about it, or we can just be in a position to know that we should just wait it out. And when this thing becomes a normal occurrence, all of us will just forget about it. And so, yeah, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.